Hi, everyone. This is Stephanie from the Yale Alumni Association. I am very excited to be here with all of you today for a return Yale Alumni Live. We've been very busy at the start of this semester, just coming off of some incredible campaign events in Los Angeles and San Francisco. If you were lucky enough to be there, I hope you enjoyed yourself learning about the For Humanity campaign. Today, I have a really wonderful guest I'm very excited to introduce to everyone. She herself is an alumna and a faculty member and doing an incredible initiative through the School of Public Health. So I'm very excited to share that information with all of you. So I'm going to have my guest, Judy Lichtman, join me on the screen here. Good morning, Judy.
Hey, glad to be here. Thank you very much for this kind invitation.
We are very excited. I am personally very excited to share about the initiative, the Happy Initiative that you are the founder of, because we had our friend Neil Baer back in Los Angeles a few months ago. Just saw him again in Los Angeles this past week, and we're just excited to get the news out about this incredible initiative. But the first thing we're going to start with is a little bit about you, because Yale Alumni Live is all about sharing the stories of our graduates. So we're going to just jump right in, Judy, and ask you to tell us your Yale story, starting with maybe why you chose to come to Yale in the first place.
Well, in full disclosure, my Yale story started even before I came here. My father was a cardiologist and actually used to come up and do a few lectures on clinical cardiology. So I have fond memories of sitting in the back of his car, coming up with my mom, where we would go shopping in New Haven while he was doing his thing. So I think Yale was on my radar even before I knew it was really on my radar, and have fond memories of coming up. I ended up coming to Yale. I was an undergraduate history major, loved math, loved biology. And I had a classmate whose older sister said, they were in public health, and they said, if I had it to do all over again, I would do epidemiology. And I'm thinking, Epa, what? And I started to look it up, and it was unbeknownst to me, really like the perfect combination for my interest in history, society, mathematics, all of the things that I had really enjoyed. So I applied to programs and got in, and I met with Adrian Osvald, who at the time was the chair of chronic disease epidemiology, and came up to start a master's in public health program, and really fell in love with the area and found that Yale was just a phenomenal place. So I finished my MPH. My very first publication came out of a group project that after the semester I kept working on and made sure I published for our team. And I just was hooked. I really enjoyed it. I stayed on to get my PhD here, and had taken so many courses as the MPH. I ended up taking courses all across campus, which again, I think showed me the value of the richness of Yale University. And then started as an associate research scientist over in neurology, got recruited back to think about teaching. It hadn't been in my plans, but it just felt, again, like a natural fit. And it has been amazing to be able to work with phenomenal colleagues, collaborators over time, but also to play a role, I think, in shaping the students that are coming up, making sure that they have a good sense of what are the methodologic issues they should know, how to nurture their interest in developing into a professional. So I have to say, it has been an amazing experience for me, both as student, researcher, and then faculty member to be here.
So, Judy, as you say, that your response was epidemiology, what? I think that whole field has become very front and center in the past couple of years. So when you think about your youth in that moment when you said, I'm going to go and do this, would you have ever thought that it would have gotten to where it is, and the awareness of it and the importance of it? Looking back, how do you reflect on that?
No, it's a great question. And I would say, even not going as far back, if I were to mention even a few years ago, prior to the current pandemic, what I did, I would have to be prepared to follow it up with a narrative of what it is to do epidemiology. And now it's quite the opposite. I mean, it as we know, having had a whole global hold on a condition, on COVID, and all the challenges that have been involved with that. It really is amazing how a discipline that we've realized has been so fundamental as far as disease surveillance, prevention, management, all kinds of things, how really it has become on everybody's radar, and importantly so. So I would hope that, you know, the silver lining of some of this is that it has really raised awareness of the importance of I would say overall disease surveillance. And as we start to talk about the Happy Initiative, the importance of narratives around health conditions.
Right. So I'm going to switch gears just for a moment because I love to hear folks' favorite memories of being on campus. So other than the amazing partners and the coursework, can you share with us maybe one of your favorite memories from being a student? And you can, if you'd like, take sides with a favorite pizza place. People tend to like to do that sometimes, but maybe just a favorite memory or a favorite spot on campus that you really enjoyed.
Well, I think I had a unique experience in that I was set up on a blind date when I started in the fall, which resulted in my marriage to my husband, Stefan Tiesen, who's a violinist. We were both in grad school here. So I would say there are, you know, many favorite places, but sure. I remember we used to go to Naples quite a bit. And that was a location that was cross campus for us between the School of Public Health and the School of Music. And Calzone Day was a big day for everybody to congregate there.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so cross collaborations. Let's talk about the Happy Initiative, which if anybody is watching right now and you're thinking, oh, I've already heard of this, the Happiness Course, Lori Santos, we're all about happy at Yale. We are not talking about that. We are talking about something else that is very unique and very special. And it's just kind of getting off the ground and getting running, right, Judy? It's kind of, it's new and exciting.
Yeah, so it really, it's the Humanities, Arts, and Public Health Practice at Yale Initiative. And it sort of happened a little bit organically here. A couple years ago, I was asked by Sten Vermund and Dean Robert Blocker from the School of Music. Sir Jonathan Mills is a conductor composer who had a strong interest in this area of neuroscience and recovery and music. And I was asked if I could help put together a panel, given my music background and connections. And so we put together a panel that included a neurologist who also was a violinist. We invited the person from the Cancer Center who did a lot with art therapy. We had Sir Jonathan Mills. And we advertised it, and we filled a large room. I mean, it was so interesting how much interest there was in this overlap of health and science and music and art. And I think that was a moment where I felt like a little bit like a light bulb goes off over your head. And you sort of, I was thinking, wait a minute, we're Yale. This is amazing. And I think the other thing that has been sort of nurturing this interest is that even the National Institute for Health, NIH, has been now providing opportunities for grants. And unlike some of the other grants that are very much among, we have a whole alphabet soup of what you call all these different grants, but they have a very unique one where you actually spend a year or two figuring out what you want to do, and then you do it. And so it's kind of a prep kind of a grant, which is very much for innovation in new areas. And also at the same time, there was a very important piece that came out from the World Health Organization that was, what is the evidence on the role of arts in improving health and well-being? And it was led by an epidemiologist in the UK, Daisy Fancourt. So I think, it's sort of this awareness and interest. And so I think the Happy Initiative, again, the next step was we were working with Garth Ross, the then director of the Schwarzman Center, to be thinking about how do we bring public health across campus in a very interesting way. So we had done some what they call salons to talk about it. We also I would say shared produced a couple of events that occurred. I would say this during COVID, I think some of our goal and timeline got modified just a little bit, given all of those challenges. But it really, I think we realized, is a great place and time to do it. And it's certainly at a place like Yale, where you have top schools in all of the various disciplines you might be interested in, public health, medicine, nursing, the Geffen School, the School of Music, art and architecture. I mean, they're just all of these great opportunities. So in starting to talk with people, I think we're realizing that there is a lot of interest across campus. And we're finding our students are very interested. And so if I were to mention, I sort of think of three aspects of happy that are really important. The first one is education. And so we've created 2 new courses. You mentioned Dr. Neil Baer, who's incredible, a story runner, producer, and has done a lot to really drive the narrative of the importance of storytelling and how emotion can impact change. Right. So he has a course on soda politics that was taught for the first time, received absolutely outstanding reviews. And then we also started a second course called The Happy. And in part, we wanted to really talk about what are key public health themes, but not just talk about them. We brought in a lot of artists. We also went and toured the Yale Art Gallery. We brought students to look at pieces and talk about themes like social isolation, aspects of depression, all kinds of things. We looked at original work related to AIDS. We went to the Yale Historical Library, looked at, I think it was 60 years of campaigns around cigarettes, and talked about a lot of the challenges there. And so that was also a course where we really wanted to also bring in artists. We had artists who talked about outdoor installations about sleep and all kinds of things. So again, education is key. Collaboration. We work with Schwarzman Center. We helped produce a few of these outdoor pieces on climate change that were at the West Campus that were, again, well attended. And we want to continue to do things like that. And then really the third piece is research. And that's where we're also spending a fair amount of time thinking about what are good partners for foundations or NIH to really help build the evidence that shows very clearly that exposure to art, whether people are creating it, they're attending it, really has very positive health consequences in terms of disease prevention, as well as potentially recovery.
It's really, it's so fascinating and the perfect place. Yale is the perfect place for this. How long, Judy, what is the timeline? When did this start? So a few years before COVID?
Yeah, so we started in 2019 to start thinking about it and to start thinking about planning. And so we have, despite the challenges of COVID, we have actually been able to sponsor a number of events that I think are really interesting and have been well received. We had Dr. Neil Baer come and do a whole session with us about storytelling and the impact of it. He also gave a wonderful lecture on accuracy of reporting and anecdotal work. We also presented a documentary that he had been he was an executive producer, ended up winning the Peabody Award on Welcome to Chechnya, which was very much an important piece. And for that, we actually had a panel of individuals that both represented the themes of that piece, as well as individuals that reflected on what it is to be LGBTQ, I'm sorry, to be involved, as well as to think about what are some of the legal issues, people that are fleeing countries that are a challenge for them, talked about the cinematography for that. So it was really quite something. We also hosted a play called Do No Harm, which was very much about testing on individuals that did not give consent at the time. And it was about 3 women who were slaves at the time. We had the actual director, writers, and come and talk with the students and faculty and staff that attended. And it was just so interesting because even though it was the play was set in an earlier time period, it really brought out a lot of the themes that have been coming up about groups at high risk, appropriateness of interventions, messaging about interventions that really brought it very much to current day. As I mentioned, we've also hosted several of the Ezel Ballad of a Landman, which was very much about fracking and issues related to people giving up their land, as well as this place as a message, which also talked about climate change. So again, despite COVID in the background, we've had a number of those things. We've also had a few salons that have also identified topics like sleep, which is one that we want to showcase this year and moving forward for a little period of time.
Yeah, so let's talk about that because that is what's next on the agenda, a fairly big event off of campus in New York City later this week, right? So let's talk a little bit about that event that's coming up.
Okay. Yeah. So, one of the things that we've realized when we talk about the Happy Initiative, I mean, we talk thematically about what we want to do, but it's really helpful if you get focused on a particular theme. So, for this event, we decided to focus on sleep. We had a few webinars, seminars, salons, and realized that for all of us, sleep is something you need every day. It's critical. I think most common thing we hear is everybody doesn't get enough of it. And we realized that this would be a great place for us to focus. And so um, we thought about ways to, as I said, share the concept of happy, but really to go forward. So we're excited. We're going to have Neil Baer is going to come again and talk about the importance of effective storytelling. We also have Michael Schulman, who is an actor, director, and show producer, who's going to be our MC. I'm going to talk a little bit about what happy is and what we want to achieve. And then as we transition to sleep, we have Dr. Henry Clar Yagi, who's an expert in sleep health, is going to give a short overview about what your brain does during sleep. What are some of the challenges? And then we're going to turn it over to some performances. We have a master's student in the social and behavioral science department here at YSPH who has done some incredible graphic displays from data points. We also are going to have a quartet that are going to initially be playing a lot of the themes related to music that we all are familiar with, but are also going to showcase a couple of them, such as the Brahms Lullaby, and talk about the relevance of that. We have also a Broadway singer who's going to come and present an original piece on sleepwalking and talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to actually have the audience talk a little bit about their own sleep patterns while we then transition to the Exit Players, which is one of the oldest improv student groups, and they are going to come perform for a period of time and showcase what they're hearing from us about sleep and sleep challenges. And then we're hoping to do a wrap up and sort of talk to people about their experiences with this kind of happy lens, and also get a sense of where they would like to see us move in terms of public health topics. And another big goal of this is to really try and network with people.
This is amazing. And this is so unfortunately for folks that are watching that are not signed up for this event, it is sold out. But we are really excited at the YA to hopefully partner with Judy and the Happy Initiative to bring this to other cities where we have Yale alumni clubs. So certainly stay tuned for those opportunities in the future. But, you know, Judy, going forward and with an alumni audience today, what are some of the messages that you would like to share with folks who might like to learn more or get involved? What do you think are the next steps for the Happy Initiative?
So I think for us, a big next step is networking. I think what is so valuable about our perspective and thinking about how humanities are involved for all of us. I mean, we live in a world where we see aspects of humanities, whether it's film, art, music, poetry, all different disciplines. And so it's so much a part of our past, it's part of our present, and it's so much where I think we want to think about in our future. So I think for our alums, we'd love to hear from you. If you have ideas and interests that you might like to network and collaborate with us, it would be great. Another area is if you are in an allied discipline that we've been talking about, as we're starting to present this as a concept to our students, they are very, very interested in trying to find opportunities to do internships, meet people that might be involved in this kind of intersection of these different disciplines. So that would be tremendously helpful. And again, we feel like this is such a unique place. There may be ideas and perspectives that you have that we've not thought about yet, or might be able to introduce us to some partners that could help us think about how to grow this and really build it at such a unique and exemplary place such as Yale.
I'm just very excited about the Happy Initiative, Judy, because it really is at the forefront of so many of our minds, how we can heal ourselves and how we can feel better and live better. So I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited to hopefully bring you all somewhere else outside of New York in the near future. And we're just really grateful for your time today and sharing this with us. So we will make sure that anyone watching can know how to get in touch with the Happy Initiative at Yale. And those lucky folks who are going to be in the room Thursday, right, Judy?
Yep,
Thursday
Thursday
in New
night.
York City.
Mhm.
We wish you the best of luck with that event. We're so
Thank you.
excited to hear about it. Any last thoughts you'd like to share with everyone about Happy?
No, I think why I would say why we want to ground it in public health also is I think that sometimes, as somebody who's helping hopefully to educate epidemiologists, public health advocates, also working with physicians, nurses, all kinds of care providers, I think that sometimes we're so focused on some of the research, some of the health issues, and the data that one of the things that I think we all need to do well, and what I'm hoping we really build from this, is the ability to go from understanding sort of the clinical or the health need to being able to change behaviors out in the community. And so much of that is with being able to really understand the science, but be able to really translate it in ways. And it's not just language, it could be through music, art,
Right.
film, theater, all different ways that we really keep thinking about how do we really develop effective messaging so that we improve the health of communities. As you said, wellness overall, I think we've all had a challenging period of time.
Yes.
And I think it's really a key moment to think about how do we harness this? How do we tell really compelling stories about individuals and make them influential in modifying, overall community and wellness globally? So I think that's where we'd like to go.
It's ambitious, but if it's going to happen anywhere, it's going to happen here. You all are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, Judy.
Thank you.
I've been so fortunate to get to know Neil over the past couple of months, and I'm just very excited about this and working with you all to get the word out. So check it out, everybody. Happy Initiative at Yale. We look forward to hearing more and doing more with you. And thank you again for your time today, Judy.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.